Hey, welcome back to the Lorcana YouTube channel, where I'm just a nerd who spends way too much money and basically all his disposable income on shiny cardboard. This is the first in a series of which I am trying to do on a weekly basis called our Market Watch, where we're tracking the biggest movers, biggest either positive or negatives that we're seeing in Disney Lorcana. Basically, the doc has been doing tracking on pricing. We do a delta change in basically a week, and then I want to report on to you what we're seeing in the biggest movers in the market. So let's go ahead and talk about the elephant in the room, which is the Disney Lorcana, the first chapter booster box. I think this is not a surprise to anyone who's been tracking Disney Lorcana. Let me scroll down and we can see the prices on this. This is over the past year, right? We're seeing a pretty big difference with crazy swings on this, and it's going back up. In fact, if you've been paying attention over the last few months, it's now eclipsed past the $350 mark. We're at it low for this year. It was tracking at about $220. That was after Ravensburger did a raffle where they were releasing, I think, their leftover supply of their first chapter boxes. As far as my understanding is that Lorcana Ravensburger is not going to reprint the first chapter, and I think Rise of the Floodborn as well too. So this should be the last dip that we should see, and I would expect to see continued increase in the first chapter. Is that a guarantee? Absolutely not, because if you look at the rest of the first chapter cards, the values on those as singles aren't going up. So the fact that we're seeing this only as a collector piece for sealed is indicative of, I think, a cool change in the market for me, right? We know that if you don't know, in Lorcana, if you're new to it, the price of singles is driven almost exclusively by the meta. The collector scene is pretty slim, at least for right now. But on the sealed side of it, we are definitely seeing movement from that. And I think the first chapter here on that booster box is proof of that. So, is it too late to buy into the first chapter? Well, that's going to depend on your budget, your price point on this, right? $350, probably $370 after shipping, taxes, things like that is a steep price point. And that's just for one box. Imagine if you're trying to get a case or something like that, right? That's pretty rough. Do I recommend this being a buy? For me, I'm holding on to what I have. In fact, I will put a link into this YouTube video for my personal collection of Disney Lorcana. I'll update it. Right now, it's only graded slabs. I think it's entirely graded slabs with it, and it's quite a bit. I've spent quite a bit of money on Lorcana. So if you're curious, I do have a lot of skin on the game of this one. You can see behind me all the graded cards, my Princess collection, my Stitch, my D23 Stitch, all the sealed ones, and these are my displayed sealed. That's not the exclusivity of all my sealed product with it. So this is something I'm holding on to long term because I enjoy the game. I think there's probably value in it long term, but you never know. Like, you can't predict these things. The entire market on it could crash next year. Everything could be worthless. So keep that in mind. This is all speculative with stuff like this. So I do think that the first chapter box is going to continue going up in price. Does that mean that's it? Are there other options? I think yes. If you're looking at other options for like a long-term hold, and that 355, 370 price point, probably going to hit 400 here soon, is too steep for you, totally understand that. That's a lot of money. What I would recommend is the first chapter gift set. So this, I think, is still at about, it says 65, but it's $20 shipping. It's about $85, right? It is a sealed product. It comes with the first chapter packs with it. It's not going to be your 24 packs with it either. I think it's either 6 or 8, if I recall correctly. I have to look. 1, 2, 3. I think it's 6 packs, right? But it's completely sealed. You can hold on to it. Those packs are going to continue value. It's a sealed product. I think as the price of packs in the first chapter goes up, you'll see this trending upward as well. Is it going to have the same growth as the first chapter booster box? No, but it's effectively going to be 1/4 the price here pretty soon, right? So actually, it already is 1/4 the price. That's pretty big, I think. If you're not trying to spend $360, $380, I think this is a good, we'll say, budget option, because let's be real, $80 is still a lot of money, right? Okay, so maybe you're giving up on the first chapter, you want to go booster boxes, but you're just like, I'm not spending that much money with it. I do think the Rise of the Floodborn is your next best bet. I am not a fan of buying right now Inkland's or Ursula's Return. If you're new to Lorcana, yes, they were both effectively overprinted. The prices on those dropped quite a bit. I think Inkland's was at one point selling about $65 per booster box. It's back up now. I think it's about 85 to 90 with it, which is great to see. But that is low. I want to say MSR, or not MSRP, but the price that distributors buy them at is about $80 a box. So if they're selling at 65, that means they're just eating the loss and just trying to get rid of products. So that means it was badly overprinted. So I'm not expecting the price of that to go up to like an investable state anytime soon. So that one is speculative. If you're going if you want to take a gamble on it, that's a gamble and a gamble for me. Not really my risk tolerance with it. I like Rise of the Floodborn. I personally have a case of this, as well as a couple other booster boxes. We can see what it's done, I think, over the past year. We've had it, dip down, rise back up, dip down, we're seeing this ebb and flow of it. I think now that we have confirmation that we're not going to have a reprint, there's not going to be extra product entering into the market. I think how many listings do we have? We have 36 listings. I think we're going to continue to see the price steadily increase. Is it going to match the rate, the pace of the first chapter? Absolutely not. That's not happening. The Floodborn is going to rise more slowly, but I think it'll be a little bit more consistent. Not consistent, just slower growth, but I do think it's going to continue growing. Take all of this for whatever it's worth. I have no crystal ball. I cannot predict the future. This is just what I think is the most likely thing to happen. So that's my advice if you're looking long-term investing with it. If you're looking in the short term for cards you may already have, if you open a lot of product because you enjoy opening packs, these are the cards that I want you to look out for, because it's probably a good idea to sell them. And then will be some other ones where, I'm sorry, if you didn't sell them, it's too late on those. I don't know when the market's going to rebound on something like that. So when it comes to singles, remember, this is driven by the meta. So anytime we have like a DLC event or other big tournament going on in Disney Lorcana, after those deck lists are published, you're going to see big movement in the market. Either some cards are probably going to drop because no one's buying them anymore, and other cards that you didn't think about that got used in maybe championship level deck or top 4, those prices are going to jump dramatically. Can you predict what's going to happen with that? You have to be really good at the game. It's not something I think I'm effectively good enough at doing to try to predict something like that. But I think we're going to try and make those predictions. In order to make that happen, to give me extra luck, I'm going to bring Atira down here, and she's going to give personal approval on those predictions. And so if they're wrong, blame me. If they're right, obviously it's the work of Atira. So, all right, let's get into it. First card we need to talk about, it's Basil, Undercover Detective. I do believe in the movie it is pronounced Basil. I always pronounce that just because I think it's funny, even though I am American, I say Basil. Specifically, we're looking at the cold foil rarity on this one, near mint condition. When we were tracking it, the difference between, I think, September 28th to October 3rd, we saw an increase of basically 126% on it. So we went from about $14, $15 all the way past $18.62. And now we're seeing something absolutely ridiculous, right? The lowest listings on this now are at $49. So keep in mind, people can ask for whatever they want when it comes to selling something. What really matters is what is actually sold. And we do see some $52 ones being sold there, but mostly we're seeing in the $24, $25 range. So will we see cards selling at the $45 for the cold foil? I don't know. That's going to be interesting on that one, but I'm not saying that it's selling at $45, because until we see actual confirmed sales, that's just what people are asking for. You can ask for whatever you want. So big movement there. I think that was number one in terms of movement, in terms of price movement that we saw over the past week. Next up, we got Heads Held High from Reign of Jafar, where I think you can see the jump in just the last 3 months with that. We were looking cold foil from just under $6 to above $7, and we're still seeing that price movement increase to where, let's see, are we actually selling at it? We're starting to sell at the $12 range now. So the price is continuing to jump there. So if you have Basil, if you have Heads Held High in a cold foil, pull those out, get them in top loader. This is the time where you want to sell those things. I don't anticipate these cards to continue to go up for very long, right? It's how long they stay relevant in the meta. And once that happens, I don't necessarily think that a regular rare foil is going to keep much value for a collector, which means that it's not going to be bought nearly as much anymore, so price will go down. Okay. In the bad news territory, we have Lilo Best Explorer Ever. This one is a huge drop. So even if we look at like the 1 month put on this, it was selling at $10. I do believe we sold the ones that we pulled from Fabled, I think at about $7, $8. This is Fabled, right? Yeah, it is Fabled. Okay, good. Want to make sure. I think we were selling ours about the $8 point. Now it's dropped all the way down to under $2, right? So huge drop there. If you didn't sell the Lilo Best Explorer Ever, I probably would hold on to it in hopes that maybe, you know, when Whispers in the Well, there's some sort of synergy going on with this card and the price goes back up on it again, right? I think that's the general advice that you should be having when it comes to Lorcana. It's highly speculative, but you don't want to buy when prices are continuing to go up, and you don't really want to sell when prices are going down, especially when they hit this point. Like, do you really need the $1.60 on that? I'm hoping not. If you are, please stop buying Lorcana. There's other issues at hand here, right? So just hold on to the card. You know, store it somewhere, and maybe it goes up. And if it does, then that's the time to sell it. And if it doesn't, that's okay too. Your opportunity cost on that was $1. It's really not that big of a deal, right? So I think that is a bit more sound advice when it comes to buying and selling on things. But again, it's your money, your cards. It's going to have your strategy for what you want to do with it. All right, next one up. This one is pretty cool for us because if you were watching the past videos, and thank you if you were, we did pull this Max Goof Chart Topper Enchanted. This one has been going up. We've seen it over the past month. It's doing that. And yes, I can confirm that the price actually has sold at $180 because that one is ours. So this will open up hopefully correctly. And you can see, does it show who sold it? It does not, but that's our card. In fact, that's our play mat with it. And so, yeah. Oh, there we go. You can see it right there. It was pulled on YouTube. You can see it and stuff. So we did sell it for that. That was one where it's just like, this price is going up. Let's try to sell it. It was just too good of an opportunity cost to miss out on. And so we're definitely happy with that. We hope whoever bought it, thank you for the support. And if you are grading it, hope it comes back as a 10. If you're not grading, you're playing with it, best of luck to you in your tournaments. Hope you win with that, okay? Okay. One that I noticed that didn't show up on the list, but kind of surprised me, was Simba Return King Enchanted from the first chapter. I don't really know what's going on with this card, but you can see over the past month, we've had a huge jump on this to where I think at a low point, it was probably selling maybe like $80, $90 somewhere in there. I guess here it's showing, what do we got? Yeah, 98, but nothing sold there. But now we're seeing the lowest listing at $130. And we do have confirmed sales at $130. That is high, right? So probably median of that is about $115. But we're seeing, 15% jump on that, all the way up to maybe 30% jump. I don't really know what's going on with that. But I did just buy a Simba PSA 9 for, I want to say, about $80. So I'm definitely happy that the price is going up on that card. But can't really explain why. So very interesting thing there. We're not seeing that trend across all the first chapter cards, which is what I thought initially. That's not really the case. They're not going up across the board. So interesting news there. Next up, we got Ariel Sonic Warrior Enchanted. This is going down quite a bit. I mean, you can see, selling at a high we had here, 128, 4 items sold at 148, almost $150. And now we're all the way back down to, 107, $110 with that card. This is one I find interesting. I think it's a fabulous card. The enchanted artwork here is amazing. It is the first Ariel enchanted card that exists in Lorcana. This is one where if I didn't already have a PSA 10 up on the wall over, well, it's off screen there, but I already have a PSA 10 of it, I would probably be buying a couple of these. I know it's $100. It's still a steep price steep price point. But if I'm thinking long term here, when the collectors start growing in the Lorcana space, what are going to be the cards that they want to collect? And I think number one is Enchanted, right? Number two, it's going to have to be just really cool artwork, interesting artwork going on, right? And then number three, when you think Disney, one of the first words that probably comes to mind after you think Disney is princess. So I'm doing the princess collection challenge. I do think that long term, the princess enchanted cards are probably going to have a lot of value. Obviously, Stitch is going to be another one too. There's argument for Mickey's, Minnie's. There's a lot of iconic characters when it comes to Disney, but Disney princess is just kind of a thing, right? So if I'm thinking long term, I think this card fits all the categories. It's an enchanted, it's a princess, it's the first Ariel princess, and it's really great artwork. It's very striking. So we'll see. I think this is something I follow up on in maybe 6 months, a year, maybe a couple of years. I think long term, I think this price or this card is going to continue to go up in value. So we'll see if I'm right on that one. One that is interesting, as I talked about previously, the first chapter of going down is Maui. And if you want to know more about the Maui and my experiences with it, as you can see the big price jump of Maui here, all enchanted. As it left the meta, we've seen the price go down. And tune into my Instagram, as I'm going to make a post about my experiences with Maui Hero to All Enchanted. So if you watched my previous Instagram about my Stitch D23 Expo and how successful that was, you'll find out whether or not I had that same success with Maui or not. So, okay, that's going to wrap it up for this week's Market Watch. I hope you find this useful, enlightening, and I want to continue doing this in the future. We'll have some fun with the tier, predicting some cards. Keep in mind that any predictions are likely not going to be very good, but it'll be fun. I'm at least going to give you the data for what cards you should be on the lookout for, maybe buying for longer term holds, and the ones that you should be selling because the price on them has jumped up. So hopefully that information is useful to you. And if it's not something where you're buying, selling, anything like that, and you just find it interesting, hey, leave a like, please subscribe. It helps the channel out a lot. And I want to continue making more content, more video, and keep talking about Lorcana. So that's it for this one. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a fantastic day, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.